Hello, my beautiful students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine, safe, and healthy. Here I am, welcome you again in the Zoom knowledge. In this video, we are gonna talk about the classification and the evolutionary relationships. So before we are going to jump on the topic on our today's topics, we should have to learn or we all have to recall the previous topic we discussed in the last video yesterday. So we discussed about the characteristics of the living organisms, right? So we have discussed the 7 basic characteristics of the living organisms, that are movement, respiration, reproduction, nutrition, and growth, sensitivity. So these are the basic characteristics. After we have discussed these characteristics, we also have discussed that what is species and what is meant by the binomial system. So binomial system, we have studied that it is also known as the naming system, which is internationally agreed system, which is applied to the organisms and do the judgment about their characteristics, so we can place them in the same group. So coming towards the evolutionary relationships, we should have to do the dichotomous key. All we have to know about this key, which is the dichotomous key. Now dichotomous key means the unfamiliar organisms. All right, so I have made a key for you people here. Dichotomous key. Here is the dichotomous key, unfamiliar organisms. So dichotomous key means that we should have to do the comparison between the two organisms. So we should have to identify what kind of characteristics they have, familiar or unfamiliar. So we can, so this is the easy method for us to make the class of the organisms, right? So dichotomous key have to be understood firstly, that how the organisms are classified according to their unfamiliar characteristics or the familiar characteristics. So here we have the two diagrams or pictures of the sparrows, right? So these two are the different species, Indian robin and this is the British robin. The name of the animal or the organism is same, but there is the different in the species. Species is, we have studied or discussed that it is the group of organism. So this one is the Copsychus filucatus and this one is the Erathicus rubicula. So these two names are unfamiliar. These are not the same. This is in the Indian robin and this is the British robin. So these, we have the unfamiliar organisms and they don't have the same characteristics that so we should have to lie them in the same group. So dichotomous key is typically based on the characteristics about the unfamiliar organisms, whether they match or unmatched. So we have there the basic characteristics of the vertebrate classes. Vertebrate classes have, or when we are going to do the comparison of the vertebrate classes, so there is the comparison, there are the characteristics, cold-blooded, like if the animals or the organisms are cold-blooded, warm-blooded, has fins, no limbs, but are they have limbs, so how many limbs they have, has they a scale on their bodies or fur or hairs on the bodies. So then class by class, so organism by organism, turn by turn, we have to move to one organism to another to make the comparison between the with the other organisms. All right, so moving further, there are also the invertebrates characteristics. So there are like these kind of characteristics we do in the comparison, like has they legs, no legs, has they, so how many legs they have, Are they have more than 6 legs? Are they have short or flattened body? Are they have the structural features same? Are they have the morphological or anatomical system same? Morphological means that the physical appearance, or we can say that the form and shape of the organism. So here it is, the morphology means shape and the appearance. All right, so anatomy is the internal structure. We only studied the internal structure. The study of internal structure is known as the anatomy. All right, so these are the characteristics. This is done. All right, so when we are going to move to the topic we have to study is discuss today, that is the classification in evolutionary relationship. Now first we have to know what is evolution, how it happens, how we can, how do we know about that these organisms are evolutionary organisms. Evolution, basically what is evolution? First we have to understood what is evolution. The change in the characteristics of species. The change in the characteristics of species. Now there is the main thing, the basic, the particular thing we have to see here, that the change in the characteristics of species over several generations, like generation to generation there are changes which is caused by the environment. Slow changes, no doubt there are slow changes, but the changes happen slowly due to the environmental changes. So why these changes happen? Because we all know that animals live in their relative environment, adapt the features of their environment. So evolution is the change in the characteristics of species over the several generations caused by slow changes in the environment. Done? I hope you people understood. Okay ji, so the topic is evolutionary relationship and their classification. When the organisms evolutionized, basic example we all discussed in the previous classes, in the previous grades, about the humans and the monkeys, apes, gorillas, chimpanzees. We all listen about these kind of organisms that we made from these kind of organisms. Our evolution is based upon the chimpanzees, gorillas, apes, and orangutans. These are the species. All right, so look, now there is the, we can say that the changes, these are the changes, like see, whale, structural changes also happen, structural modification also happen in the evolution. So there is the bat structure. The structure of bat is, it has this kind of structure. All right, after changes humans have this kind of structure. Lizard has the structure like this, and the bird have the structure according to their flight mechanism. All right, so according to their bodies, according to their functions, according to their lifestyle, their body structure, the changes happen, but this is a slow process. Now we discussed that there is the evolutionary relationship. We have also see that how much changes happen due to the evolution. All right, so there is one thing we notice when we are going to classify the organism is the DNA sequencing. DNA sequencing is the major, we can say that the point we have to see, that what is the DNA sequencing. We are going to classify the organism, what kind of DNA sequence it organism has. So first we have to know what is DNA. DNA, all we know that it is the hereditary material that transfer from one generation to another organism to another generation. So DNA is basically deoxyribonucleic acid. It stands for deoxyribonucleic acids, and what is their function? It has to transfer this kind of hereditary material to another organism. So what is the role? Sequence of bases, coding for amino acids. This is the basic function it performs, that many kind of genes, many kind of bases have to arrange in their several pairs. If there is mutation or there is changes while pairing according to their respective pairs, they are not going to attach with their pairs, so this cause the abnormality or mutations that we see in the next generation in the form of variations. All right. Excuse me. So the DNA has revolutionized the process of classification. All right. So, there we discuss these 2 points, the morphologically or anatomically. Morphologically or anatomically, there is the change in the organism. First, most organisms contain chromosomes made up of strings of genes. The chemicals that forms these genes is called DNA, which is the short form of deoxyribonucleic acid, and is made up of a sequence of bases coding for amino acids and therefore proteins, as I show you. So this kind of evolutionary changes we have to see before classify the organisms. After seeing these kind of changes according to the evolution, we have to classify or do the comparison. The dichotomous key we have to apply to different organisms between them to identify that what kind of organism have to be lie in the respective group. There I want to show you that however genetic evidence using DNA provides a different understanding. Humans are more closely related to chimpanzees. This is the main point, that humans are closely related to chimpanzees. But how could we how the statement is true that humans are closely related to chimpanzees? What is the evidence behind this? The evidence is this, that there is only 1.2% difference in the genome, the complete set of genetic material of the organism. So here we understood why the DNA sequencing is important, to identify that what kind of features are going to transfer from generation to generation, to identify the familiarity or unfamiliarity between the organisms. All right. So here we completed our today's topic. I hope you people understood well. So we will meet in the next video. If you people like this video, understood the video, please subscribe the channel and like. Thank you.